Crew Motorfest came out nearly 5 months ago, and in that game the devs fixed many problems and added so many new features, and the game saw many updates making it better than the Crew 2. But despite this, I don't really play the game. In fact, many YouTubers seem to be completely giving up on the game. And today I'll be giving you my reason why, so 4,000 likes is the target, so give it a little tickle. Also, this is not meant to be a hate video, it's more so an explanation and hopefully a friendly guide for the developers for when they're creating the next game, so yeah. Thank you very much, and now let's get to this video. Now, when I heard the next Crew game was not going to be set in the USA, I can't lie, I was very disappointed. But when I found out it was set in Oahu, your boy was so excited. As you know me, I'm a TDU fan, and TDU 1 and 2 were kind of set in Oahu. So I was like, oh my god, I get to relive Test Unlimited in the Crew Motorfest, this is amazing. But the map of Oahu in the Crew Motorfest is so underwhelming. I mean, this is the size of the Motorfest map, which is, you know, it's pretty big. And then let's compare it to the size of TDU 1's map, and yeah, it's quite small now. But it's not only the size difference that's bad, but this map just seems like a massive downgrade compared to the Crew 2's map. Because in the Crew 2 we saw incredible cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Miami, Chicago, Detroit, New York. It was amazing. And then compared to the Crew Motorfest, and all we really have is Honolulu, which is probably like half the size of New York in the Crew 2. Honestly, getting rid of the USA map in this game is the biggest mistake they could have made, as the whole USA map is what made the Crew so special. That's the whole reason I got into the Crew franchise, because I mean, I don't really care about the racing, I just wanted to drive through the whole USA map. Like, that is so cool. But they scrapped the USA in the next game, which was such a bad decision. Honestly, getting rid of the USA is like making a dirt game where you can't rally. Oh wait. Overall, the map of the Crew Motorfest may be more dense than the Crew 2, but in my opinion, and factually as well, the dense areas of the Crew 2 are way more dense than the Crew Motorfest. I mean, yes, the roads outside of the main cities in the Crew 2 are very desolate, and it's like this one empty road that leads from one city to the other, and it's not very realistic compared to the real USA, but the roads in the main cities, oh, they were so dense, I love it. I mean, just look at New York in the map of the Crew 2, okay? It's so dense, man. Look at the roads, they're so close to each other. Oh my days, I love it. And then compare it to Honolulu. Yeah, you get what I mean? Yeah, New York is so much more dense. Okay, now if you compare the road network in the Crew Motorfest to the Crew 2, the Crew Motorfest does seem more like dense and overall close to each other, but it still feels pretty sparse to drive on, and it's kind of similar to Forza Horizon 5. As in Forza Horizon 5, you can basically just drive across the whole map and not have to worry about crashing into anything. And it's the same thing in the Crew Motorfest, like there's nothing to stop you from driving across the whole map of the game. Honestly, with how much smaller the Crew Motorfest map is compared to TDU 1, you'd expect it to make a denser map, but no, it still feels pretty sparse. I mean, I get that the map in the Motorfest is meant to be more dense, but I don't know about you, but for me it just feels so much more sparse. Now, many people called the Crew Motorfest a Horizon clone, and I defended it. I was like, how dare you call it a Horizon clone? Just because it's an open world racing game doesn't make it a Horizon clone, but I kind of understand where people are coming from. Because it's not just an open world racing game, but it's also a festival racing game, just like Horizon. So I do kind of understand why people are calling this a Horizon clone, because they branched away from this incredible storyline to this tame, friendly, open world racing game with music in the background set in a festival, and it does kind of feel like a Horizon clone. Honestly, do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the Mr. Beastification of YouTube. Just like that, I kind of understand the Forza Horizonification of racing games, if you get what I mean. Because lots of racing games nowadays do tend to be sort of taking the style of Forza Horizon games, and yeah, I kind of understand what people are trying to say now. Now, I wouldn't say the Crew Motorfest is a copy of Forza Horizon because, well, that's just an insult, but you definitely can tell that they're losing their identity trying to compete with Horizon, which is very disappointing. Now, one of the greatest features in the Crew 2 were, of course, the houses. As you can store your cars in the house, and you can go to the elevator and go to different floors and then see your boats and your planes and your bikes, and they worked just like the houses in Test Unlimited 2, but dare I say it, they were better. So with this incredible unique feature, what did they do with it with the next game? Well, they scrapped it. And I cannot stress how disappointed I am with the fact that they got rid of it. Like, what are you doing? I was expecting them to add to it and make them better and give them new features and give them more floors and give them more views and make them more personal, but no, they got rid of it. Why? How do you have such an incredible feature like this and think to yourself, what should we do with it? Oh, I know, let's get rid of it. Honestly, man, it's so disappointing why they got rid of it. Honestly, getting rid of features like this makes the Crew Motorfest feel like a beta version of the Crew 2. I don't care how good the game looks, how good the cars sound, when you get rid of features like this, the game just feels unfinished. Like, what are you doing? Now in the Crew 2, there were many things that needed fixing, and the devs did just that in the Crew Motorfest. As the steering wheel angle was updated, the driving physics had a massive overhaul, the wheel support was improved, the car sounds were so much better, and the visuals, oh! It's an absolutely stunning game, but many of the problems still remained. Like the mirror does not show a reflection of what's behind you, which has been a problem since the first Crew game. I mean, back in the Crew 1, this wasn't really big of a problem, but now in 2023, like, surely this would have been fixed by now. But it hasn't, and it sort of shows the game's age, even though it's a pretty new game. And also, there are so many unlicensed traffic cars like there were in the first Crew game as well. Like, there are these B-Tech Ford Explorers, and there's also this Crown Vic as a traffic car as well. But if I come side to side with this car in my actual Ford Crown Victoria, then you can really tell the difference between both of the car models. I mean, look at how good my one looks compared to that PS2 looking model. Like, what is that? Anyways, not only did some of the things remain the same, but there were also some missing features as well. Like in the Crew 2, you can see the rudder pedals for the planes, but in the Crew Motorfest, you cannot. In the Crew 2, there were so many pedestrians everywhere, but in the Crew Motorfest, there is none whatsoever. In the Crew 2, we had a helicopter which we could explore with, but in the Crew Motorfest, there is no helicopter. What do you mean? Out of everything they took from us going from the Crew 2 to the Crew Motorfest, the helicopter broke most of our hearts. As a helicopter was a really fun and unique way to explore the map. It was kind of like a planes, but you could just stop and hover and look at things. And it was great for challenges as well, but they decided to get rid of it, which is such a big crime. Like, what were you doing? I mean, just think about how fun the helicopter would be with the amount of tunnels we have in the Crew Motorfest. We could just like fly through the tunnels, it'll be funny. Honestly, the things I do to get back the helicopter is crazy. Honestly, I'd trade all the boats and hovercraft in the game just for one helicopter. Even if the helicopter was a Robinson R22, I do not care, man. I just want a helicopter. Now, something I've noticed a lot of people pointing out, which I understand as well, is just how similar the Crew Motorfest is to the Crew 2. As the customization is identical, there are the same long transitions whenever you enter photo mode, and I'm pretty sure the sound effects are exactly the same as the Crew 2. I mean, I've genuinely seen people on social media believe that the Crew Motorfest is a Crew 2 expansion, and I don't blame them. I mean, of course, the graphics have had a massive overhaul, and there are new features and new cars and like new lots of stuff, but it genuinely does feel very similar to the Crew 2. Dare I say, slightly worse the Crew 2 despite all the fixes and updates. Like, don't get me wrong yet, Ivory Tower, this is brilliant, but I like this. It's kind of like the Jeremy Clarkson meme. Okay, now this is a weird thing to talk about, but I kind of blame the name of the game for the YouTubers not playing it. Because as YouTubers, we sort of look out for views because it's our job, we need to get good views to make a living. But when the name of the new Crew game is called Motorfest, it doesn't really do YouTubers any favours. I mean, even though it's not a proper Crew game, it would have been much easier if it was called the Crew 3, if you get what I mean. But I feel like when you ditch the number for a name, the game sort of flops with like, there's a few exceptions like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, but for the most part it doesn't really do the game any favours. Like, surely just give it a number, man. I mean, people are getting more views on the Crew 2 videos than they are on the Crew Motorfest. It's actually crazy. I feel like lots of people are forgetting about the Crew Motorfest because it's called Motorfest and it's very confusing to people because people think it's an expansion when it's not an expansion, it's a separate game. So yeah, I really hope that for the next game they do name the Crew 3 or the Crew 4 or whatever they're gonna call it. And also, do you know how hard it is to shorten the Crew Motorfest in the title of a video? Like, what am I meant to say? I want to call it TCM, but apparently that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. TCMF is just a bit too confusing, so I want to call it the Crew MF, but the Crew MF sounds a bit like the Crew and I don't want to be swearing on my videos because that gets me demonetized. So yeah, I don't know what to call it. I don't know how to shorten it, man.